In his youth, Ned had fostered at the Eyrie, and the childless Lord Arryn had become a second father to him and his fellow ward Robert Baratheon. When the Mad King Aerys II Targaryen had demanded their heads, the Lord of the Eyrie had raised his Moon and Falcon banner in revolt, rather than give up those he had pledged to protect. One day, 15 years ago, this second father had become a brother as well, as he and Ned stood together in the Scepter Riverrun to wed two sisters, the daughters of Lord House Tully, the thoughts of Catelyn Stark, A Game of Thrones Chapter 2, Catelyn 1. After the Battle of the Bells in early 283 AC, the victorious rebels rallied in the Riverlands, while King Aerys II sent the Kingsguard to gather the remaining loyalist forces, as well as find the missing Prince Rhaegar. Thus, for a short while at least, there was a few weeks of relative calm. Behind closed doors, however, politics was still being played, and alliances strengthened. We must now take a moment to recall that prior to the outbreak of the rebellion, Eddard Stark, the Lord of Winterfell, betrothed his eldest son and heir Brandon to Catelyn Tully, the eldest daughter of Lord House Tully, Lord of Riverrun. Brandon was travelling to Riverrun in preparation for this very wedding when the news of Lyanna Stark's kidnap reached him, and he rushed to his horrific fate in King's Landing. Prior to all of this, Brandon had spent some time at Riverrun, getting to know his new bride. During this time, Peter Baelish, House Tully's low-born ward and future Master of Coin to King Robert Baratheon after the war, challenged Brandon over Catelyn's hand. Stark easily defeated Peter, leaving him bloody and scarred in the ensuing duel at Riverrun. There are some tales that suggest that while recovering from his wounds, Peter slept with Catelyn's younger sister, Lysa, and impregnated her. Enraged by this, Lord Tully sent Peter back to the Fingers to complete his healing, keeping him away from both his daughters for the foreseeable future. Other sources also state that this supposed affair between Peter and Lysa resulted in a pregnancy, with Lysa forced to end it by her father with the use of moon tea. The wedding of Brandon and Catelyn was supposed to take place in 282, if not for the abduction of Lyanna Stark. Brandon had promised Catelyn that he would return to Riverrun from confronting Prince Rhaegar in King's Landing, and that they would then marry. But, as we well know by this point, Rhaegar Targaryen was not in the capital, and his father, King Aerys II, had Brandon and his companions imprisoned for treason. He summoned their fathers to court, and the Mad King then had father and son executed in the throne room of the Red Keep. Aerys had Rickard burned to death, while Brandon strangled himself, trying to save his father nearby. King Aerys next called for the heads of Robert Baratheon and Rickard's second son, Eddard Stark, who had grown up in the Vale of Arryn as wards of Jon Arryn, Lord of the Eyrie. Jon's refusal to surrender his former wards began Robert's rebellion and led us directly to 283 AC, where Eddard Stark and House Tully had successfully rescued Robert Baratheon from loyalist forces in the Battle of the Bells. As part of gaining the support for the rebels of House Tully, Eddard had agreed to marry Catelyn in his late brother Brandon's place, thus reforming the alliance between House Stark and Tully in a much more secure and permanent fashion. The widowed and heirless Jon Arryn, meanwhile, had been left in a tricky political situation after his heirs had both been killed during the rebellion, his nephew Elbert and his cousin Sir Dennis. Jon was already an old man by this point, aged 65 years of age, even older than House Tully. He agreed to marry Hoster's youngest daughter, Lysa, to create a strong and close kinship between the three great houses of Stark, Arryn and Tully, with the goal of adding House Baratheon to that number if and when Robert Baratheon married Lyanna Stark. This would create an alliance of the likes had not been seen for generations during the Targaryen era of Westeros, and solidify the threat to King Aerys II's rule the rebels were becoming. While it might not seem like it from a Tully point of view, the match between Lysa and Jon was extremely beneficial, given how public the rumours of Peter and Lysa's affair had become. For the childless Jon Arryn, Lysa's now proven fertility did improve the possibility of him fathering his own heir, and prevent a succession crisis in the Vale, as it was not clear who the next in line to become Lord of the Eyrie was. Witnesses to the event say that Lysa Tully wept greatly the morning of the double wedding, and was near inconsolable by anyone. The weddings themselves were to be held in the modest sept at Riverrun, with it known that at least Lord Hoster Tully, Sir Brendan Tully, Lord Jason Mallister, Sir Desmond Grell, Lord William Dustin, Jory Cassell, and Lord Robert Baratheon would be there to lay witness. By the time that it came to the actual wedding ceremony, Lysa was dry-eyed and radiant, almost happy. Jon Arryn draped his cream and blue cloak over her shoulders, and Lysa Tully became Lysa Arryn. The same Andal custom was followed for the marriage of Eddard Stark and Catelyn Tully, despite House Stark and Eddard in particular being devoted followers of the old gods. Jason Mallister, Lord of Seaguard, brought lavish gifts to the wedding, and he jested with Sir Brendan Tully, Hoster's brother, during the wedding feast. Sir Brendan the Blackfish, who had often quarrelled with his elder brother in terms of his own proposed marriages, informed Hoster that after the feast he would be departing Riverrun to serve his niece Lysa and Lord Arryn in the Vale, with Jon making him the knight at the gate. When it came time for the bedding ceremony, Jory Cassell is said to have torn Catelyn's wedding gown, and Sir Desmond Grell later had to apologise repeatedly for making bawdy jokes. Eddard would stay at Riverrun for a fortnight, during which Catelyn would become pregnant with their first child, Robb Stark. Eddard would not meet his son for many months until the war had come to an end. Catelyn and Lysa would remain at Riverrun with a small garrison, while their father, Lord Hoster, and their new husbands, Eddard Stark and Jon Arryn, left to carry on the rebellion against House Targaryen. Lysa too had hoped she had become pregnant with Jon's child as well, but time would prove this would not be the case. The importance of these marriages and the way they tied the great houses of Westeros together cannot be understated. It almost ensured there would be no peaceful resolution possible for the rebellion, with the full might of the North, Stormlands, Riverlands, and Vale now bound together in an unbreakable way, with the single goal of bringing the reign of the Mad King Aerys II Targaryen to an end, and now even destroy the House of the Dragon itself. King Aerys II had always been paranoid his son and lords were plotting to depose him from power for years, with that paranoia only serving to push him deeper into madness. In a way, it was this fear of his own son and lords itself that inadvertently set the stage for the rebellion. His paranoia brought the great lords of Westeros together as one.